Hi guys, how are you guys today? I hope you guys are good. Are you ready for my preview of the Madrid Masters final, or otherwise known as the Madrid Open? So let's talk about the semi-finals first. I hope you guys got the chance to watch the semi-final. If not, I'm going to tell you right now what's been happening. So here we go. So firstly, what we saw was Alexander Zverev, who did really what I said he would do. He attacked, he took the time away of Thiem. Thiem wants to be in long rallies like the previous match with Nadal. Thiem wants time to set up big forehands in the rally and hit 1, 2, 3 forehands in a row. Zverev with a bigger serve than him and just that whole attacking, shortening the point, never really allow Thiem rhythm to really get in rallies. And he was never allowed to really get in rallies, get rhythm in those rallies because it was always ending really quickly because the Rev was going for it, taking risks, taking time away on a fast clay court at altitude that was hot. In addition to the Zverev was using the serve, attacking, shortening the points, and taking time away, and Thiem could never get involved in rallies and get some rhythm here. What also happened in this match was like Thiem in the rallies, he wants time to set up to hammer big forehands. But Zverev was hitting the ball hard and flat mostly, but getting the ball really quick through the court, so Thiem never had time as he usually would on a clay court to actually have the time to set up and hit the big forehands. He was always rushed. The ball was always coming through the court before he could get in his motion and hit that big forehand. So firstly, Thiem wanted to be in rallies. That was disrupted because Zverev had the big serve and attacking, taking risks, shortening the point. So Dominic Thiem was never like no rhythm, not able to get in a rally and find his feet. And then as far as his power game, having time to set up on a big forehand, um, where on a slower clay court he usually has time to set up and unleash on those huge forehands. But because Zverev was using his serve and in the rally, attacking and shortening the point and taking risks, Thiem also didn't have time to really use his forehand and set up to have that big motion of a forehand because the ball was coming through the court. So Thiem really didn't know what to do with his forehand taken out of play due to the aggressive nature of Zverev and the serve and the rally shots. And the fact that the ball's coming through the court like a fast court and he's never having time to set up. So his forehand is taken out of play in this one. And then also his ability to get involved in consistent rallies and find rhythm, that was also taken out of play. So really it was a difficult one for Thiem, and then he was just bossed around, and then when he was trying to do something, he was either like trying to get in the rally, but he was on the back foot and the rally was over because the Rev was attacking all the time. But then when he did get in a rally, he's like, if I don't go for it right away at the start of the rally and take a risk, the rally is going to be over because he'll just shorten the point and take the time away, and then it'll be on the defense. So I've got to hit a low percentage shot now before the rally gets going, or I'm on the back foot, which that caused a lot of risk. Thiem attacking, hitting a shot to end the point from his end, because if he doesn't, the Rev will, and that caused risks and errors. So when he did that, there was a lot of errors. But when he didn't do that, just as I'm going to get involved in a rally and take my time, then Zverev was going for it and putting him on the back foot and in a defensive position. And like I said, he could never just get in a rally and get forehands. Not enough time to set up in a forehand, not a rally. And if he took his time, Zverev just ended the rally and just pushed him around. And then he's on the back foot, and then the point's over. So when he tried to get in rallies, that happened. And when he said, "I'm not going to be pushed around like this, I have to go for it and push him on the back foot," then he's trying to not even play his normal game, get in a rally. He's trying to end the point off the first shot himself, which is taking a risk of a low percentage shot and getting errors. So it was either Thiem saying, "You won't boss me around or go for it," and a whole bunch of errors, or Thiem trying to get in a rally and Zverev taking the time away, shortening the point, ending the point, and putting Thiem on the back foot. When Thiem attacked, tried to end it himself on the first point, it was mostly errors. When he said, "I'll get in a rally," Zverev had control of the point and ended it quickly and took his time away and ended the point. He was on the back foot. So it was either Zverev controlling the points or Thiem saying, "I refuse to be controlled, I'm going for it," and hitting a low percentage shot but hitting an error himself. Whichever Thiem tried, the aggressive approach for him to end it on the first point was errors. The defensive one to get in a rally just gave Zverev control of the point. He would just end the point quickly and push Thiem on the back foot. So that didn't work either. Whether Thiem was aggressive or more conservative. And the reality of it is this court isn't good for a normal clay court, even worse when it's hot. Probably the two best clay quarters I would say would be Nadal and Thiem, and Zverev beat both of them by just having it by playing a grass court style game. Big serving, power, attacking, going for the line, shortening the points. Um, but not letting Nadal or Thiem get involved in the rally, get any kind of rhythm, not enough time to set up and hit forehands. Whereas that doesn't usually happen on clay, but with the altitude and the heat, it did. And that sort of grass court, big serve attack, shortening the point. Um, Zverev made the most of the conditions to absolute perfection and played at a really high level in both matches. So there we have it. We have Zverev through to your Madrid Masters final. As I said in my semi-final preview, I said it would be 3 sets, but it's 2. So in the other semi-final, similar story. Um, I see Gold Wolf in the comments. Sorry, the chat. Hope you're doing well too. So we'll talk on the second semi-final now. So I just felt like Berrettini also great conditions for a big server. Played a grass court style game. Big serving, attack, shortening the point, big forehands. Yeah, yeah. So what I was saying was, it seems like Gold Wolf is going for Matteo, but he thinks the Rev will win. But what I'm saying is, I think that like the same kind of thing. Berrettini used to serve, big forehand attack, shortening the point. And again, Casper Rudd could never get involved in the rally, never find rhythm, didn't have time to set up on the forehand because Berrettini was hitting the ball too quickly through the court. He was just overpowered and never could settle in a rally. And then if he didn't want to be bossed around, had to go for it on the first shot. Same thing as the first semi-final, which is risk and errors. If you play it safe and get in a rally, then you're just being dominated and the time's taken away from you and you're on the back foot. And when you want to use the forehand, the ball's going through the court too much for Casper Ruud. You don't have time to set up because Berrettini's got so much power and the conditions are so fast. So it was a really similar type of thing. And then there were a couple of service games. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's definitely a quick clay there, but like, yeah. What I'm saying is, right, no time to set up on the forehands. Can't get in the rally. Can't find rhythm. The point's ending, and then when he doesn't want to be controlled and he knows he can't get in the rally, you go for it on the first shot, so you're in control of the point, right? Then he hits the ball out because he's hitting a low percentage shot because that's not his game anyway. Same thing as the first type semi-final. But on the two times where Berrettini broke, Berrettini hit a couple of great shots in those two breaks, but there was also two or three unforced errors from Rudd. And I think a lot of that was caused by the fact that if Rudd doesn't take a risk and go for a low percentage shot and plays his game, what's going to happen? Well, the point will be shortened, the point will be over. He'll be on the back foot, and Berrettini's going to end it. So Rudd says, "I'll refuse to be boss. I'll go for a low percentage shot," but then that's out too. So whichever way Casper Rudd went in this match, it was just big trouble for him. And the same as the other one. You want to get in a rally, the attacking guy is shortening the point, can't really have time to set up on your forehand, can't get in a rally or on the back foot, right? Then when you go for it, then that's not your game, so you hit errors. So that's what you saw from both Casper Rudd and also Thiem in the other one. So it was really, really difficult for them. And then going between, I'm going to not play my game, attack and take risks, low percentage shots, or I'll get in a rally, and I'm overpowered. And yes, this clay, I don't think know if the clay is faster in Madrid, but I think what's the difference in Madrid? Number one, there's the altitude, and number one, if you're at sea level, if it's hotter, like at the French Open, the conditions are going to be much faster. Um, So, like, for example, when Djokovic beat Nadal in 2015 at the French Open, um, that was like a hot day. So even at sea level, Nadal was playing poorly in 2015, but the conditions was more like a slow hard court than a clay court. So when you consider like the sea level is going to be the sea level is going to be faster when it's hot, and altitude's going to be faster whether it's hot or cold. When you've got heat of about 80 Fahrenheit, which we had in the Nadal Zverev and the Thiem Zverev match, when you've got around the early 80s Fahrenheit, 28 Celsius, then plus altitude together, then it's completely like a hard court. There's no way that that court will be any faster than at least the US Open for a night session when they're playing in the sun and the heat and the altitude all together. So, yeah, and I think when I look at this final, we've really seen like a fast court, and it's not two typical clay courts. It's two big servers, two power guys. You could easily see this indoors or on a grass court meeting. It's not guys who like baseline, who like time to set up on a forehand, typical on clay. I think we'll see something different next week in Rome, but it's going to be a bit slower because I think the weather's going to be colder for this final. And I think that when it comes down to it, that like Berrettini's game, even though he's a big server and attacking guy who wants to shorten the point, his attack comes from a huge forehand with a big motion like a Nadal or a Thiem, and he needs time to set up. So what has Zverev done? Zverev's played two guys with a big forehand with a big motion that need time to set up, Nadal and Thiem, and now he's going to play a third one, Berrettini. So I think he's accustomed to the big forehands and finding a strategy to beat that. So I think he's going to be getting the ball through the court, and Berrettini won't have time to set up on the forehands. They'll both have big serves. Also, when they're in a defensive position, I think that Zverev has a bit better defense and to turn defense into offense. And Berrettini, definitely Zverev has better defense. And definitely if they're forced into rallies, even though they're both attacking and shortening the points, and that's their game here, when you're forced into a rally and you need shot tolerance and consistency, right? Zverev is going to be able to do better at that. So Zverev's going to be able to really use the big serve and attack and shorten the points as Berrettini does. But when they're forced on defense, Zverev will be able to do it much better. Zverev will have more consistency of shot. But then when it's a game of aggression, attacking and shortening the point, they're both even. So for that reason, for being more versatile, I give it to Zverev. The fact that he's beat two guys with a big forehand, He's used to, in the last two matches, getting the ball through the court quickly, and then a guy with a big forehand in Nadal or Thiem not having time to set up to use it. So I think if Nadal and Thiem's forehand, they're having trouble with Zverev, and Zverev's found a strategy to get the ball through the court at a rate they can't really set up and use their forehand. I think if he can do that to Nadal and Thiem, he can definitely do it to Berrettini. That's what I would suggest. And I would suggest he's just coming with the same strategy. I played a game, I got the ball through the court at a speed. I took Nadal's forehand out of play and I got the ball through the court and disrupted Nadal's forehand, didn't give him time to set up. Then I played another guy with a great forehand Thiem. I did the same. The forehand wasn't an issue. I got the ball through the court and I broke down Thiem's forehand. So Berrettini's forehand is going to be much more easy to break down than Nadal or Thiem. He's going to be able to get the ball through the court. So when you add up to, he's going to really take Berrettini's forehand out of court in the way he did to Nadal and Thiem. But Berrettini won't have the consistency of Nadal and Thiem or the movement on the court. So at least when you do that to Nadal and Thiem, they can have consistency, defense, and all these things, but Berrettini don't have. So if Zverev can take the forehand out of play in the way he did to Nadal and Thiem, Berrettini's got nothing else to go to because he won't have consistency or defense like Thiem or Nadal. So, and then he's going to, like I said, his defense is going to be better than Berrettini's. His shot tolerance and consistency. And then when it's an attacking game, he matches him. So have the defense plus offense when it's just offense for Berrettini, and when the main thing is the forehand, and Zverev's had practice and he's able to deal with Nadal and Thiem's forehand. Now, if anything, he's got a lesser forehand. So it's going to be two guys attacking Evie. One guy has better defense and shot tolerance and consistency, Zverev. And then the biggest threat to Zverev is Berrettini's forehand. But Zverev has dealt with Zverev's dealt with Thiem and Nadal's one. So he'll deal with Berrettini's forehand and then take that out of play. So now Berrettini's just got basically a serve. If Zverev can take his forehand out of play like he did to Nadal and Thiem, and then you take his forehand away, you don't have defense and consistency of shot like Nadal and Thiem. You just got to serve. Whereas Zverev's going to have it all: attack, defense, serve. He's going to be able to match him on attacking, but he's going to also not go for too much, have more consistency, have less unforced errors to go with the winners. Like Berrettini will have unforced errors to go with the winners. He'll have winners without many unforced errors. And when Berrettini's on defense, it's over. When Zverev's on defense, he can still win it. So when you got one guy an attacker and the other guy who can be attacker or defender, and one guy relies on the forehand, Berrettini, and Zverev's broke down Nadal and Thiem's forehand, then I just really think, like, how is two attacking players, but one guy can defend and play consistently, the other can't? How can you beat the more consistent guy who also has defense? And then when for you to get offense, you relied on a forehand, and your forehand's not better than Nadal and Thiem. And Zverev dealt with their forehand, and if he deals with mine, I've got nothing else because I don't have their defense or shot tolerance. I really think Zverev could really break him down in this one, but I'm going to still give Berrettini a set because I just think that he could just have a game where he serves huge and the serve is able to set up forehands, and maybe Zverev gets nervous, but there's a good chance it's straight. So it's either going to be two close sets to Zverev or three sets to Zverev. But I think the key is both are equal in offense, but Zverev's got defense while Berrettini doesn't. Zverev has more consistency when he's trying to attack without many errors. Berrettini doesn't. And the main thing of Berrettini is the forehand, and I think Zverev will break that down because if he's taken Thiem and Nadal's forehand, he takes Berrettini, and then Berrettini's got nothing else to offer because he doesn't have defense, he doesn't have shot tolerance like Nadal and Thiem, and then that's when his game really breaks down. So I think that's where it's going to happen. There is definitely a chance that Berrettini wouldn't get a set. I'll admit that, but I think his biggest chance to get a set is when you're talking about two big servers and they've made this court fast. Then you've got the possibility for a decent number of tiebreakers or a few important points determining it. Under that type of match with big servers, by it being close and unpredictable and 1 or 2 points deciding it, a guy who probably wouldn't usually get a set could just get one by playing a few good points at the right time. So for that reason, I'm giving him a set, but I'm saying it's 50-50. I'm saying Zverev will win, but it's 50-50 if it's 2 or 3 sets. And, uh So yeah, I just think that that's how it's going to be. But let me just also just say, right? That's what I'm my prediction, and that's the end of it. But I just want to say, as far as like what happened with Nadal at the quarterfinals here, like some may say, well, like he's lost twice now at Monte Carlo and Madrid, so maybe it's not going to be his year. Um, but the thing is, in 2019, he's at this stage, he'd won no clay tournaments, right? He'd won Barcelona, so he's ahead. And then 2020, he didn't win any. He played in Rome. What you got to understand when you're thinking about the French Open is, right? What was the causes of those losses? Well, he went into Monte Carlo. He'd had a 5-month period where he played one tournament. It's the first tournament after a long break. That's the situation in Monte Carlo. Will it be like that in the French Open? No, it won't. So I really can't say like Monte Carlo, first tournament after a 5-month period where you only played one tournament. I don't think that's anything like the second week of the French Open. So you take that one out of there. Then you say, well, what about the loss in Madrid? That's his third tournament back. Now he's got matches. Well, that's at altitude and heat. So it's playing like a hard court. So it's not really anything like the conditions. So then you throw that one out. You throw Madrid out because he never does well there anyway. And it's not relevant to the French Open. And you throw Monte Carlo out because it's 5 months, one tournament. First tournament, at least give the guy at least second tournament to find his form. I say Barcelona. I say Barcelona, right, is more relevant to what we'll see at the French Open because then you can see it's not my first tournament back. I had a tournament to warm up, and then now I should be finding my game in the second one, and it's at sea level, more like the French Open, and that's the one he won. So to me, it seems like for him to lose, you either need one of these two circumstances: first tournament after a long break, Monte Carlo, or altitude Madrid. But if you don't have either of those two, which you won't have them at the French Open, um, then I think he wins. But if he were to lose at Rome, that would be more of a concern because now it's his fourth tournament back. It won't be either of those two. It would be more similar to the French Open, where the French Open, it'll be on sea level, clay court, and he's had a lot of tournaments and matches. Same with Rome. But with Madrid or Monte Carlo, you can't just say have 5 months where you play one tournament and just because you're good on clay, you'll win the first tournament. No. And then altitude in Madrid, completely different. But Barcelona, he had a chance to warm his game up in Monte Carlo, and he should find his game at the second tournament, and it's sea level, and that's more relevant. But Rome is also very relevant. So if he loses at Rome, that would be great concern for his French Open, but not a first tournament after a 5-month break or not at altitude, not those two. But Barcelona is important and Rome is important for what his chances would be. Yeah, yeah, like Rome is very more situation. Like you've got match fitness, you're both playing on sea level. So if he doesn't do well in Rome, that would be an issue. But not your first tournament back at Monte Carlo or not at altitude, right? The only advantage of the French to Rome is it's even slower and it's more higher bounce, so the game suits his game better. And you've got to beat him in best of 5, and there's more room back at the court because he likes to stand back behind the baseline. So it's definitely, and in the Grand Slam, it's 2 weeks, so you play every 2 weeks. You build your game up. You start like you don't just jump from lower ranked players to higher ranked players in a hurry. You have a chance to, on your day off, to strategize with your coach, work out what you're going to do, rest your body, and it's much harder to upset someone in best of 5. And then, like I said, the court being slower and higher bouncing, but still, Rome and the French Open are going to have this in common, both at sea level and both times Nadal's got a lot of matches. So if he loses at Rome, it'll be a concern, but not the first tournament after 5 months without really playing, and not at altitude. But Barcelona was a big representation where he won. So but what I'm saying is, like, if you compare it to 2019 and 2020, he's in a better position because at 2019 he had no tournaments won at this stage, and he didn't get any tournaments at all before the French Open one. So I say he's in a better position. And I say your first tournament after 5 months without playing is not really relevant, and altitude's not relevant. And that's those are where his losses been. But Rome would be a concern, and Rome is important. So back to this final, I'm just going to say that, it'll be either straight sets or free sets, but I'm going with Zverev due to more consistency and due to the fact that he's taken Nadal on Thiem's forehand, so he'll do it to Berrettini. And like I said, Berrettini doesn't have the defense, them and or the shot tolerance. So then you take his forehand, his game's really broken down. So yeah, and I just think like this type of situation, right? When you when you take a lot of time off, right? Like you did in 2019, if you're Nadal, or 2021 before the clay court season. What that guarantees you is you'll be underdone and your game will be cold at the start of the clay court season. But it means you're fresh enough to play the whole clay court season. It means you're underdone the start and middle of the clay court season. But the end of the clay court season into the grass, that's when you compete because you're not overdone, you're not tired, you're not run down because you had all this time off before the clay court season. So you go from underdone at the start of the and middle of clay court season to the end of clay into grass, possibly into the US Open peaking because you're not run down and exhausted. So taking all that time off before Monte Carlo, that's what it does. Guarantees a lot of the clay court season isn't great, but the end of the clay into Wimbledon, into the US Open is the peak time. But if you play early, you could be physically run down later on. But I think he's happy to not peak most of the clay court season, get at the end of the clay into Wimbledon, the US Open. I think that's what happened in 2019. And we could well see that this year. He's a step ahead of 2019 because he's got Barcelona. He had nothing at this time that year. So we're going to see what's going to happen. But I say you're better off coming into the clay underdone and not peaking and taking time to find your game and peaking at the right time. I think that's what Nadal's trying to do here. But we're going to see if it's going to happen again. So that's the end of my video for today. Subscribe, bell notification, thumbs up. Have a great day, everyone. Be back in tomorrow or the day after. I'll preview Rome Masters and I'll review this final. We'll see if I'm right. And this upcoming week, I should be having an interview with Roger Federer because he's going to be coming back in Geneva. So midweek next week, I should have that one for you. I'm also trying to get Rafa right before the French Open. I'm hoping the week before. So we'll see what's going to happen with that. So guys, be with me for my next video in a day or two. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye for now. Bye, guys. See you soon. Thanks for watching.